Here's a home phone, and here's a home phone. They're both reliable and provide unlimited local calls. But that's where the similarities end. This one includes more than 18 popular calling features, like call waiting, caller ID, three-way calling, and call forwarding. The other one charges extra for those, as much as $34.50 more a month if you add them all up. This one includes voicemail. The other one does not. This one has low long-distance rates, just 15 cents a minute to the US. The other one charges 47 cents a minute for the same thing. So, which one would you choose for your home phone? This one is Rev Voice, and you can get it for as low as $14.99 a month. Rev Voice, the better choice.
Sign up for Rev Voice Home Phone for as low as $14.99 a month. You could win great weekly prizes and be entered to win our grand prize, a brand new Honda CR-V. Call us at 601-8992 or visit us online at cablebahamas.com/RevVoice.
Good evening, Bahamas. This is NB12 broadcasting from Cable 12 Studios on Robinson Road. Here's what's making news tonight. A former F&M cabinet minister working closely with the government on a possible multi-billion-dollar project. A man crushed while working on the Airport Gateway project, a special farewell for the parliamentary commissioner, plus the government rolls out its education plan. Those stories and much more on the way, and the Kia DeVoe and NB12 starts right now. Joining us here at NB12. Former F&M Cabinet Minister Kenneth Russell predicts that a proposed multi-billion-dollar project could create more than 9,000 jobs on Grand Bahama, significantly boosting that island's ailing economy. Russell, who served as Minister of Housing in the Ingram cabinet before being fired, met with Prime Minister Perry Christie and an investment team last month. He says they will meet again in a few weeks. But first, a government official accompanied Russell to the United States this week for a series of meetings. He discussed the details of their proposal with Phonic Toot.
Former Free National Movement Member of Parliament Kenneth Russell and a government representative traveled to New York this week to meet with prospective investors about a proposed project for Grand Bahama. Russell told NB12 the investment team is willing to pump about $4 billion into that project, which he says could generate thousands of jobs for that struggling island.
We are producing somewhere in the neighborhood of about 9,000 jobs, and
that's on Grand Bahama?
Grand Bahama. And once you put the spin-off on top of that, is in the community itself, you'll create many more jobs.
Any idea on cost yet? How much all of this?
Cost, all this now looking at a neighborhood of about $4 billion.
Last month, Russell presented a proposal to the government for the project, which led to his dismissal from the Ingram cabinet in 2011. The former housing minister spoke briefly with Prime Minister Perry Christie outside of the House of Assembly Wednesday morning before heading to New York for a series of meetings on the three-pronged project.
On one side, it's a touristic development, hotels, cruise port, marina. On the second side is a power station and arrow plant and so forth. And on the third side would be airport, maintenance of aircrafts, aircraft training, and a number of manufacturers who are also partners of us who want to come there to do some manufacturing.
Christie recently told reporters that while the project is of big commercial interest, he still has yet to see evidence that it would be properly funded. He added that the proposal is extraordinary because of its dimension and size. He also mentioned the project during his keynote address at Thursday's Bahamas Business Outlook.
I've given them my support to this point to see whether, in fact, this proposal for East Grand Bahama, which is of major significance, has taken on a slightly different tone now because they produced at the table some very heavy hitters representing major economic groupings out of the People's Republic of China. And so, again, question mark, optimism is there.
Russell says Christie has asked for proof that they have sufficient funding, the ability to actually pull the project off, and necessary partnerships to run a successful organization. Hence, this week's 3-day trip to New York. He revealed that the Prime Minister selected a government representative to accompany him.
We believe that when we get back, that he will be pleased with what he found out in New York, and that, again, we'll be well on our way. We intend also to have them see our people in Las Vegas and also in China, so that they know that these people are not just a figment of my imagination, but that they are real.
When the investment team meets with government officials in a few weeks, Russell says they hope to present everything needed for government to give that project serious consideration. If they get approval, he says they hope to start within 2 months. Reporting for NB12, I'm Vonique Toot.
The family of a construction worker in mourning tonight after the young man died tragically while working on the Airport Gateway project this morning. Paige McCartney reports.
Police were called to a gruesome scene here at the intersection of Gladstone Road and John F. Kennedy Drive when one of the workers on the Airport Gateway project was involved in a tragic and fatal accident. Police say they got the call about the accident just before 10:30 this morning. The victim, believed to be in his mid-20s, was identified by co-workers as Tyson Miller, who just started working on the project about 6 months ago. Police said when they arrived on the scene, they discovered the victim's body lodged under the left wheels of a Mack truck trailer head, which is used to transport heavy equipment. His body was mangled and dismembered. Superintendent of Police Ken Strawn.
The preliminary information is that the trailer and his driver was traveling west, when unfortunately one of the construction workers who was working in the area ventured into the direction of the trailer, and unfortunately he was struck and lost his life. The matter at this time is in the early stage of the investigation.
At the scene this morning, other construction workers gathered, lost for words at what had happened to their colleague. Ian Lightbourne was one of the supervisors of the victim. He said the victim worked in trenching and was responsible for laying pipes. It was what he was doing seconds before he died. Lightbourne talked about the last time he saw his coworker.
Oh, well, he worked with my crew last night at 12:30. We left here at 12:30 last night. He's an awesome worker, all right? He works hard. He's a very hard, dedicated worker, and he's been with the company for 6 months now. So, I mean, he's a dedicated worker. He's here every day and night, and you know, it's sad to see that this happened, but I mean, blessings out to the family.
Police say the driver of the vehicle was understandably traumatized by the accident and was taken away from the scene. They said he needed medical attention but was not injured.
The driver of the vehicle was not injured in this incident, very much shaken up, but he is, however, assisting us in the inquiries with respect to this incident.
This is the second traffic fatality so far for the year. And NB12 understands that shortly after the accident, workers who were at the scene were all called to the construction home site for a briefing. For NB12, I'm Paige McCartney.
Well, since the gaming referendum questions were made public last week, the Bahamas Christian Council has called on the government to change the wording of a question to avoid confusion. While the leader of the opposition says government should not only change the wording of the question, but also educate members of the public on what exactly they are voting for or against. Christina McNeil has this report.
In the months since the gaming referendum was announced, opposition leader Dr. Hubert Minnis has been one of the many voices calling for an in-depth education program to inform the electorate on what a yes or no vote would mean. Since then, we've heard from groups on both sides of the issue, but Dr. Minnis says the only thing missing is an independent voice to weigh the options.
Educational process really should be a non-biased process. That's how it's done in New Zealand, whatever. They have a commission that's responsible for educating the public. That commission would look at the time frame and ensure that you have adequate time frame for proper education. they would ensure that the question is out, they would ensure that the regulations are out, so that you don't bring regulations that are tailor-made to fit one or two individuals that you're trying to bring in. I still would lobby for the educational process. You're asking voters to make a decision on the future of their country. It's not an easy thing to do. And when you're asking people to make a decision on the future, be it good or bad, they should know exactly what they're voting for, because they're voting not necessarily for themselves, but they're voting for the young people of tomorrow. And that's not an easy decision. You must be educated and know exactly what you're voting for, the impact, be it positive or negative, it would have on your country.
Earlier this week, Minnis accused the government of revealing the referendum questions to the leaders of the Vote Yes campaign before anyone else in a process that lacks transparency. Minnis says less than 3 weeks from the referendum, the government's education program has been lackluster, leaving many members of the public with more questions about how a yes vote will change or regulate the gaming industry and what a no vote would mean for current operators.
I'm still disappointed. There's no public education, and as I move through the communities, a lot of people are still asking, what about the referendum? What are they voting for? They don't know, and I think even the last referendum, the Prime Minister Christie made noise that you needed 6 months of educational process. That was his words. You needed 6 months. All of a sudden, you only need 3 weeks. I mean, what has changed? He knew you needed. He campaigned that you needed at least 6 months, and all of a sudden he's now shortchanging the Bahamian public, not giving them the time that he thought they deserved for a referendum.
Dr. Minnis insists that the question regarding regulating the gaming industry is unfair and may trick members of the public into voting for regulating a process that is currently illegal.
I'm disappointed with the wording of the question at the web shop. It appears it does not speak to legalization. If you say yes, then you're talking about taxing and regularization. If you say no, you're talking about no taxing but allowing the process to proceed. It's a trick question. It's an unfair question to the Bahamian populace. You place them in a bind. And I think the whole, I'm sort of disappointed that Nordich, whom I have the greatest respect for, I know that Nordich cares about people, cares about the populace, and I would find it very difficult that he would present such a question.
Whether you vote yes, no, or completely abstain from the January 28th gaming referendum, Dr. Minnis says he believes that the electorate should be given the opportunity to make an informed decision before casting a ballot. Reporting for NB12, I'm Christina McNeil.